地獄からの使者、スパイダーマン。
Here's the emissary from hell, Supaidaman. That scene just now has been in my head since they announced the figure. The figure is in the new windowless packaging, looking awesome just like the other exclusive Spideys. Here's one side of the box with a picture of the figure in the vanilla pose, and on the other side is the artwork of it. Here's the back of the box with some crazy looking artwork behind the picture of this figure and a picture of the accessories that it comes with. Now let's get the figure out. Here's the mummified figure with the set of accessories and the mandatory slip of nonsense. Now let's check out the figure. Hopefully it's all good. Looks good. And here's the accessory. Oh, the webbing is white in color. Here it is. Here's the figure out of the packaging. The figure comes with a strand of web, a pair of fists, and a pair of webbing effects. The strand of webbing is white in color instead of the translucent version that we've been getting all this while. The sculpt on it is exactly the same. This open-fingered hands is really similar to the way he does his hands in the show. Here's a fist very similar to the ones that we've been getting. And these two web effects are exactly the same as the one that we got from the armored Spider-Man. Just that this is white in color and it kind of really looks like snowflakes instead. In terms of accessories, I think this should have been different. Maybe more like a rope, because in the show, it really does look like a rope shoot out from his hands. And I feel they shouldn't have given us these web effects because he didn't really have any webbing in the show. It's more like a rope and a net. They should have given us a machine gun. That would have been cool. Before I talk about the appearance, just take a look at the defect in the paintwork that I found. Look at that. I didn't notice this when I took it out from that paper bag, but this is really bad. A whole chunk of web lines missing on the right side of the shoulders at the back. So yeah, anyways, the appearance of this figure is quite accurate to his appearance in the show. One thing about the paintwork is that the red is more orange instead of red. I mean, just look at these two Spideys. This is really red, but the Japanese Spidey really has kind of like an orange tone to it. The blue looks fine, just slightly lighter than the other two figures here. But the red is really off. I mean, even in the show, he doesn't really look this bright. Maybe he does a bit in this poster, but in the show, he doesn't. The overall sculpt of the figure is really good. Just like in the show, this figure doesn't have any muscle definition over the costume. It's really cloth-like. You can really see the creases sculpted over here. And kind of the shape of the ears at the side of the head, just like in the show, which actually isn't so obvious on the other Spideys. Again, the sculpted creases or wrinkles on the costume over here, and it's actually all around the figure. At the back as well, you can see there's not much muscle definition. Ugh, really give me a heartache, this one. And same goes for the legs. The sculpted creases are quite obvious. His gauntlet also looks awesome, and it is a separate piece. You can see the word Spider-Man at the center of it. I'm actually amazed they managed to paint out the word Spider-Man quite clearly because it's actually quite small. It is just plain right at the back. Good sculpt and paintwork on it. Just that it doesn't open up like in the show. The one on SH figure art does. The sculpt of the figure is really good, but now when it comes to paintwork, it is mostly decent besides the problem at the back that I've shared earlier. The spider logo is painted quite sharp and crisp, and so are the web lines along both of the arms. The eyes and the web lines on the head are also painted really good. The only part that isn't really great is this semicircle over here. The red, or should I say orange, on the rest of the body is painted quite well and clear, But for this one, somehow it isn't as clear as the rest of the orange, and it's kind of slightly bluish. Really don't know why this one is sub quality, unlike the red on the other parts of the figure. The web lines on the legs are quite decent, except for this portion where all the lines don't meet. And the bottom of the feet is white, just like in the show. It's actually quite difficult to find this still shot of his legs being white. At the back, the painting of the spider logo isn't that great. Upon closer look, the paintwork of the legs of the spider logo isn't really that sharp. And also, I really don't know why there's a hole over here. If I'm not mistaken, this is a new body mold, but yeah, I don't know what the hole is for. I mean, the other new Spidey body molds doesn't have the hole. I can only imagine that this is going to be used for another character which requires a hole to be there. So yeah, I really don't like this hole at the back. Doesn't look good at all. You can see some of the web lines exceeding into the blue parts. And at the front, this is actually disjointed on purpose because in the show, the web lines on the neck is disjointed, and I think it's because there is some sewing over there. So the figure is actually accurate to how it is in the show at the neck area, and not because of a paintwork defect. So in terms of appearance and sculpt of the figure, it's really quite good, and for the paintwork, besides the chunk of web line missing, it's kind of decent but definitely not perfect. For articulation, the head is able to look up this much and down. It can't really tilt sideways at all. Arms go up this much to the side. Bicep swivel. Double hinge, elbow joint, pinless and really tight. Wrist swivel and hinge. Ab crunch forward this much and not much to the back actually. This is upright. This is back. Waist swivel. This amount of split. This amount of Van Damme split. Legs go up to the front. This much. Thigh swivel. Double hinge knee joint. Pinless and really tight. Quite a good range of movement. You can really see the bend on the knees. No calf swivel, ankle hinge, and pivot. Not the best of articulation in my opinion for a Spider-Man figure. There's no shoulder butterfly joints, unlike the other recent Spidey figures. But thankfully, he still can pull off this pose, although I think it could have been pulled off a bit better if he has shoulder butterfly joints. And also, he doesn't have the mid-torso joint and has the waist swivel instead. I definitely prefer if the Spidey figures have the mid-torso joint. These three Spideys have the mid-torso joint, the shoulder butterfly joints, and also calf swivel. So I don't understand why this Japanese Spider-Man doesn't have those. For size comparison, here's Retro Spidey, Renew Your Vows Spidey, The Amazing Fantasy Spidey. The Japanese Spider-Man is about the same height as the Retro Wave Spidey. The Renew Your Vows Spidey is still the biggest of all the recent Spidey figures. Here's the Gamerverse Spidey, Cyborg Spidey, and Retro Wave Peter Parker. All of them are about the same height. Here's the Iron Spider, Armored Spider-Man, and Future Foundation Spider-Man. And here's Spider-Man Noir and Pizza Spidey. The Spider-Man Noir is definitely bulkier looking with the trench coat and the hat. And also, I'm sure you noticed how bright the red is on this new Japanese Spidey compared to all the other Spidey figures. Overall, the sculpt and appearance of this Japanese Spider-Man figure is really good, but the red is really just too orange for my liking. The gauntlet is also done really well with the metallic silver and good paintwork on it. The articulation really could have been better. It's really missing some vital joints for a Spidey figure, especially the shoulder butterfly joints. And instead of the web effects that we got, I think it would really be great if we get more alternate hands or even a machine gun. So overall, still a decent figure, but definitely not the best Spidey figure that we've gotten out of all the recent Spidey figures that we got. At this price point, all of us are expecting more from Hasbro. Thanks for watching. Do check out my other reviews and subscribe to my channel if my review helps.